Hey, awesome. Self-Worth School is back in session. You have another solo episode with me today, and we are talking about how to stop overthinking and to trust your decisions. Now, I did a live workshop on this recently, but I felt like this comes up so much in just life and with my clients that it was worth doing a whole episode on this on the podcast as well for anyone that might have missed it. So we're going to dive into the overthinking today. And if this is something that you're struggling with or that you have often do struggle with, then hopefully we're going to give you some techniques for moving forward today. So first thing I want to talk about is the actual root of overthinking. So why does it happen? Why is it something that we struggle with? And ultimately, overthinking in whatever form it is that you do it and whatever it is that you overthink about it's a self-protection mechanism. It's your brain's way of avoiding discomfort, uncertainty, or like a perceived wrong choice that you're just not sure about. And overthinking often happens when we don't feel safe, when we don't, like I say, we don't have that element of certainty, when we're doing something that's either been difficult for us before, that we've found difficult to make decisions about before, when it's something that we really care about, when we're fearing judgment over the decision that we're making, when we're fearing losing something, or we've got our reputation riding on it, all of those kinds of things. It's when we don't feel safe emotionally, mentally, or even physically. And it's ultimately our brain's way of trying to protect us from pain, from rejection or regret, because those are the things that attack and affect our nervous system. They're the things that give us that sinking feeling in our belly and make us go hot or cold, make us scared, make us shake. All of these things are nervous system responses. And they're biologically built into us from right back when we had ancestors and we relied on our nervous system to keep us safe whenever we had those threats. It's that whole fight, flight, freeze kind of thing happening, except the threats that we have nowadays are those, they're not about running from a saber-toothed tiger, like they say, or, trying to keep yourself safe from the next tribe. We have other threats now. And your brain thinks it's doing a good job. It thinks it's making sure that it's keeping you as safe as possible. But ultimately, what it's normally doing is keeping you stuck. And overthinking, it sounds, what if I make the wrong choice? What if they think I'm too much or not enough? What if X is happening? What if I go down this route and that's not the right one for me to have done? What if I fail and everybody sees it? And so instead of just either trusting ourselves or doing the things that we want to do, we start outsourcing that trust to overanalysis. We try and analyze our way to keeping ourselves safe, to getting the right questions. We Google, we write pro and con lists, we ask 5 friends, we delay the question until we feel like we know more and we're in a better position to make a decision about where we're going. But as I often tell my clients, and sometimes have to tell myself, because I'm definitely not immune to overthinking decisions now and then, like you can't think your way into clarity. You can't always navigate your way into a level of certainty that means, yes, I know that is a decision I'm going to take and I'm 100% sure about it. You can only really decide your way into it. And there's only a certain amount of information that you can get to help you make that decision. And what I spoke about in my workshop is that women who overthink, or when you get in a space when you're overthinking, it's usually when you've lost that sense of self-trust, is when you don't believe that you can handle what happens next, or you don't believe that you have the abilities to make a sensible decision. You don't trust that you have, like I said, the capabilities, the know-how, the intuition to make the right decision for you, or that you can make a right decision about interpreting somebody else's behavior. You don't trust yourself. And there can often be 2 things. There can be like a lot of this can build a lot of overwhelm. And that can be like time overwhelm, or it can be learning overwhelm. If you're trying to do something new, so if you're trying to make a decision, say around your business or your career, you might get to a point where you're overwhelmed for time, or overwhelmed for information, or overwhelmed from learning and you're not sure where to go. And all of these things, they fuel indecision. you think that you're collecting more information, but actually you're just crowding your head with more options, more information. And none of these things, none of this overwhelm that you might feel, sorry, or fear, is going to be fixed by thinking harder. It just, if that was the case, the overthinkers of the world would be doing everything and anything. And generally, the overthinkers of the world are the people that are often spinning their plates and delaying things. So just a moment of reflection for you here that might be helpful to have in mind as we move through the rest of this podcast episode is to think about, when was the last time that you hesitated on a decision because you were afraid of what might happen if you got it wrong. So have that. There might be multiple instances and might be one that really sticks out to you. But this is if you're not sure, was I overthinking or was I just tossing up between a couple of ideas? Think about that one first. And there, like I've mentioned already, there's a lot of different faces when it comes to overthinking. There's a lot of different things in our lives that we might overthink about. And it doesn't just show up in our business or our career decisions. It can sneak into all the tiny spaces of our life. Overthinking, I had one client that was so disconnected from her sense of self-trust and identity and unsure of her image that it would take her hours to think of what outfit to wear. It might be you replaying a message that you sent over and over again and wondering if you sounded too blunt to your friends. It could be reading a friend's tone or body language and trying to decode whether or not she's annoyed with you or if you've let them down. It could be crafting and recrafting an email or a message because you're scared about how it's going to land. You could be sitting on a big dream for months because you're waiting for the perfect time, or you might be overthinking your partner's decisions or reactions or things to do with your family. Overthinking is really just a symptom of, say, self-doubt and that lack of self-trust. It's that kind of quiet voice that says, I don't trust myself to handle this. I don't trust myself to choose the right path, choose the right decision to make someone feel XYZ. But the truth is, if you were to look back at all those times that you've struggled, whether it was with the same thing, whether it was something else, you've handled hard things before. You've survived being misunderstood. You've survived going down the wrong path and having to go down another one. And you've made decisions that ultimately, hopefully, have led to growth, even if they weren't the right decisions that you made in the first place, whether it was going for the wrong person in love or going for the wrong job or going for a different offer in your business. So maybe the goal isn't necessarily to overthink less, because I know how much anxiety, I know how difficult and uncomfortable it is when you are overthinking, I just want to be able to not think this anymore. I don't want to stress about myself anymore. But maybe the goal isn't necessarily that. Maybe that's not the helpful goal. Maybe it's about, actually, I just want to trust myself more. I just want to trust that I have the right answers. And even if I don't, I'll work it out if I do. Because what overthinking costs you, and I said this in the workshop, overthinking doesn't protect you from pain. It just delays the peace and actually costs you peace. It costs you peace to always be in this space where you're overthinking, but also it delays you having the peace of making a decision and probably it being the right one. But even if it's not, and like I say, having the peace from being able to work out what the right path, what the right decision is for you, what the reality of the situation is that maybe you're worrying about. It costs you your confidence. It costs you energy, like the physical and mental energy of constantly running over your decisions and overthinking people's reactions. It costs you creativity. If you're overthinking what you should do in your career, your business, what will people think? What if I'm not creative enough? And it costs you joy. Like I say, it's a difficult place to be. Joy, both in the sense of it feeling uncomfortable to be in the space of overthinking things, but also joy about that comes from the decisions that you do make. It keeps you looping instead of living. And like I say, it keeps you outsourcing your sense of self-trust and intuition and trust of others to logic, and you can't always logic your way out of it. Often it isn't that the data is missing. You probably know everything that there is that you need to know to make that decision, But that decision needs to come from your sense of intuition. Your decision needs to come from a space of it feeling right to you, not to other people. And, it, like I say, if you have had that sense before where, you've made a decision that perhaps hasn't been right or that has let you down or let somebody else down or whatever it is, you need to stop making decisions about your future based on things that happen in the past that you can't change, and the circumstances might be completely different because you're constantly bringing up that example of something in the past as like the thing that you're now helping to decide your future. And yeah, ultimately, you can't overthink your way into safety. That's not how it works. It doesn't protect you. It just makes you more aware of everything, every scenario, everything that could go wrong, even though it's unlikely to. And it's ultimately, say, going to put you in a place of decision paralysis or analysis paralysis, whatever they call it. So, talking about that intuition piece, how then do we move from one space to another? How do we get out of this loop? How do we move forward? And we talked about this sense of increasing trust and different ways in the workshop, but I want to speak to you about something slightly different this time. And let's say it's on this piece around intuition. It's trying to move as much as possible away from the head part because that can only do a certain amount, and instead moving towards the heart, moving towards that kind of intuition. And really, it's dropping that sense of right versus wrong because often things aren't as black and white as that. There's not this is the only way that something is going to work, and this is the way that is the only way that it's not going to work. Life isn't like that. A lot of the decisions that we're making aren't like about that. And the only way that you are going to feel safe and be able to make decisions with complete conviction is to suspend that need to be right. You need to be okay with being wrong. You need to be okay with the fact that the decision you might make might be wrong, or the path that you go down might be the wrong one, and that you might, whatever you're doing might fail. And I say that in inverted commas because really it's just a result of something that's happened, and you can use that information to do something different next time. You might make the wrong decision about the wrong person, but you need to be okay with the fact that something might be wrong. And if it is, you need to be able to trust that you can work your way out of it, that you can make another decision to make it okay. So instead of trying to get things right, because like I say, to try and get things right 100% of the time is just, it's like perfection. It's you can't bet on perfection because there is never really 100% right answer in every single thing. And like we said earlier, you can't logic your way out of it. You can't just think your way into it. You have to make a decision at some point, and that's how we build trust. That's how we build trust and confidence in ourselves, is making those decisions, moving forward with them. And to be honest, the trust and confidence gets even higher when you make a decision that's a difficult decision and you find a way to bounce back. So instead of trying to get it right, try this instead. Try to ground yourself in the present, whether that's just like simple 3 breathing exercises, as in 3 deep kind of breaths, just to bring yourself back to your present. I know people cringe and go, oh God, another breathing exercise. But neurologically and physically, it's what it does. It brings your body back to out of that kind of anxious future headspace and back where it belongs. So it's grounding yourself in the present, taking a few deep breaths and just saying out loud or even in your head, just, I trust myself to make powerful decisions. I trust myself to be able to make the right decisions for myself. And just notice, like, physically in the body, because like I said, the overthinking, it does cause those changes in the body. It causes those changes to your nervous system. If you come back to your body and actually notice the sensations in there, have you got a tight chest, a tight tummy? That's resistance. That's your nervous system overworking, creating certain chemicals and hormones in your body, tightening up muscles, tightening the way you feel. And like I said, that's resistance. It's where your body and your mind, they haven't necessarily caught up yet. Whereas if you can feel that calm energy when you're trying to make a decision, that's alignment. That's telling you, yeah, I'm ready to move forward. I'm ready to do that. And usually that clarity that we're looking for when we're making a decision, like I say, it doesn't come from that overthinking place, or that essence of trying to control certainty. It comes from connecting with ourselves and feeling like it's a decision that makes sense for us. Like I say, that we trust ourselves to make. Try and let go of that sense of perfect. There's no single right path. It's not like you only get one chance, sorry, to make a decision and that be the right decision. And then that's it. It's not the only one that you get to choose and commit to. That's the beauty of being human. We can pivot and change our path at any time. We can change our decisions, but it's wanting to show up for our decisions with the right energy, with that energy of kind of trust and knowing that, so we can work it out. And just personal example of overthinking from my side when it comes in for me is often when I'm working in the business and I'm thinking, what offer do I want to do next? How do I want to do this? This is something I'll procrastinate on for a long amount of time because there's been launches that haven't worked for me. There's been offers I've put out there that people haven't picked up on. And it does make you question sometimes your certainty, your creativity, whether people want the thing that you have. But deep down, I have a knowing, a trusting in my abilities, in my mission, in my ability to make the right decision, to find the thing that is going to help people the most. And that will always keep me moving forward, always having that sense of purpose, of knowing that this is what I'm here to do. And I absolutely can find the right decision and path to go. And I might not always find that the first time, but I trust myself to be able to do that. And it's when I stop overthinking and going more from what feels good against my gut. And when I get that shot of intuition, running with that's generally the path that is the right one to go. But then we start questioning ourselves and going, oh, why did that mean? No, if it came to you, if it came and it felt easy, then that's probably the right one for you. So the key takeaway that I want you to take from this lesson is you don't need more certainty. You can't think your way into certainty, and that isn't what you're looking for. When you overthink, that isn't what you're looking for. You're looking for that sense of self-worth and self-trust, and that's where that link comes in. And when you trust yourself, you don't wait for the right decision. You make a decision that's right by you and you show up for it and you follow it through. And if it doesn't work out, let's say you have that sense of worth, that value, that trust in yourself and your capabilities, that you'll be able to create what it is, whatever it is you want, whether it's, like I say, about your career or business, whether it's about relationships, friendships, anything like that, you'll trust yourself to be able to do that. And one little action for you to take away to put some of this stuff into practice, or one thing I want to give you that might be able to help, is if you are stuck between two choices, maybe you've got two job offers, two paths for your business, two versions of what next, two holidays, two outfits to wear, like whatever it is that you're overthinking about. This is a simple exercise that I got from one of my coaching programs that I studied from that I thought was really great. And that is that I want you to imagine both scenarios, both choices that you make work out exactly the way you want. Everything works out. You get the job that you want, the money that you want, the business success that you want, the partner that you want, the date that you want, the outfit that you want. Like both outfits get like, you feel amazing in them and the photos look great. Whatever it is, whatever you're stuck between, imagine both of them succeed. Both of them feel equally safe. Both of them bring you equal amounts of happiness. Now, knowing that, which one do you choose? Knowing both of them cannot fail. Both of them are the right decision. Both of them make you as happy, successful, in love, whatever. And the answer that rises first, before your brain jumps in with logic, that's your truth. That's the one that you go for. That's the one that you trust. So I hope you've found this lesson helpful. I really love teaching on this stuff, and it's a work in progress for all of us. Like I say, this is something that I'm learning to do as I go as well. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. Like I say, do let me know. Send me a message on Insta or LinkedIn if this resonates with you. I would love to know if you've got any tips as well. But yeah, just know that you're absolutely awesome, and I want you to have a great day. Thank you, everybody, for listening in and tuning in. I've been getting messages from you all, or seeing people, even in person, that have been telling me how much they're loving this podcast, and it really means a lot to me. So if this episode has resonated with you, if you've enjoyed it, please do send me a message on Insta, on LinkedIn, wherever you tend to see me hanging out. I'd love to hear your thoughts and if this episode helped. And if you are ready to stop overthinking and start trusting yourself to bring your vision to life, whether that's making a bold move in your career, maybe it's a new business or growing your business, or simply just backing yourself again so that you can stop getting out of that or getting in that loop, get out of it and build the kind of happiness and progress and joy and income and success that you're looking for, I'd love to support you through one-to-one coaching, because this is part of what we do. You can book a free discovery call with me. I'll include the link here in the show notes. So if you want to find out more about how coaching might help you and how growing that sense of self-worth and self-trust can help you move forward, then come and find out more. Otherwise, you're absolutely amazing. Remember, you deserve a life that's as awesome as you are, and I'll catch you in the next episode.